Happy New Year, welcome to the programme. Owen Bradley with former Derby captain Sean Barker alongside, here to bring you some reaction to a defeat for Derby County on New Year's Day. The Rams have lost 4-2 at Sheffield Wednesday. A wild game, this one that saw Derby go behind just 8 minutes into Barry Bannon's goal. Derby had a host of first half chances, hit the woodwork. James Beadle forced into a couple of saves before more goals for the home side after the break. A stunner from Josh Windass from inside his own half, a candidate for goal of the season, made it 2. Derby would get back in the game to make it 3-1 and then got a consolation at 4-2. But that wasn't enough for Derby. We'll bring your reaction. Paul Warne will speak to us shortly. A wild game, Barks. As I said at the end of commentary today on RamsTV, make some sense out of that for me.
Yeah, it's a tough one to make sense of, mainly because for long spells in the game, there were some really good bits. We probably created more chances than we've seen away from home. We dominated the ball, probably more so than we have done all season. And we were probably the better team for long spells of the 90 minutes as well. But the difference is they took their opportunities. The chances that they had, there were poor goals, a couple from our point of view to concede, especially the first and the fourth. The second goal was a wonder strike, absolute wonder strike from Windass. And there's not much you can do about that. It was a rare moment and one that you'll see, I'm sure, time and time again. But you have to be better when you have the chances, and at half-time we're going in at 1-0 and you really felt that we should have been ahead of that game and we weren't, and we're just punished for mistakes and little moments in games. So frustrating, disappointing, but there's certain parts of the performance that were actually very good.
Goals change games, as the old cliche goes. More from Barks. We'll look at the goals in detail shortly as well. Let's hear from the man I'm sure you want to hear from. Here's the Derby boss, Paul Warne.
Yeah, obviously disappointing. I thought we had enough of the game. I think I don't know, but it felt like we dominated the ball away from home. I felt like we had more chances than them, more clear-cut chances, and we just weren't as clinical as them. So I think it's, evident that what we're not missing endeavour or organisation or an energy to our play. We just, in both boxes today, we've defended really well all season. We probably didn't defend the best either, but I thought both boxes today we weren't as good as we should be to win away from home. It's still, there's a lot of positives that I take from it, but it's the scoreline that stings a bit.
You went behind early on, but I don't think anyone could have begrudged you being in front at half time. You had Kane Wilson had 2 chances, Nat Phillips from a corner, Jerry Yates hit the post. You had some real chances, didn't you? Yeah, and that is what frustrates.
After the game, if you've lost, everything's wrong. The shape's wrong, the people are wrong, but games come down to those moments really in the box, and like I said, we didn't take ours, and I don't know how many saves Jakob made today. It just felt like that, it was dropping in the 6-yard box, we hit the post, the keeper makes a save from close range, we hit the bar, we miss a really good opportunity, we mistime our header, and all these things add up, and we come into it today with a bit of illness in the camp, and maybe that made us start a bit more sluggish. I don't know. It didn't feel like we started with a real impetus, and then once we got a grip of the midfield, I felt like the first half we were pretty comfortable. In fairness, I know the opposition always going to create something, but I felt like we were going to get into it, and at half time I felt like we could have been 2 or 3 up, and that's how crazy football is. Start the second half, I felt like we were good again, and then obviously when they get the wonder strike, which is a bitter pill to swallow, is the truth, away from home. I don't think my lads deserved that really, and then we get ourselves back in it, and then the third goal, it's all over really. But all that aside, we still had enough chances to probably get something, and that's what's disappointing, that we just weren't as magical in the attacking third.
You mentioned in another interview it was sort of both boxes that you felt let you down today.
Yeah, because we're not normally that open, and like I said already, and this isn't me being sour grapes, it wasn't like Sheffield Wednesday played any better football than us, had better tactics than us. They just kept turning us and running in behind, and they had pace, and we got caught out a couple of times on really close decisions, and and that's what frustrates me really. I didn't think we defend as well as we have, and then we weren't as clinical in the final third, which especially away from home, but I don't think we've created more chances away from home all season. So, and we still scored 2, and we still come away with nothing, and that lies the frustration. I thought we asked a lot of questions of them, but didn't take it, and the longer the game goes on, you don't take the chances. And like I said, they kept putting the ball in behind us, and then they bring on a strike and they play it into his feet, and they can play off. There were some really good performances, like Kane Wilson was outstanding. He cramped up, as we knew. It wasn't. We didn't really want to play him today because the amount of games. I don't want to risk an injury, but Wardy's sore, so we couldn't play Wardy, and Ryan's obviously not available. Same with Callum on the other side. His stats have been through the roof. He's the highest performer in the squad, and so we revised. There's no point having all the data if you don't use it. Ideally, he's the highest risk player, so we didn't start with him, and I didn't want to put him on at half time. But the way the game was going, we could see there was a problem. So we did everything we could to win the game today. Ended up with a 10 and 2 9s. But yeah, regrettably. Well, not regrettably, I don't regret anything we've done, but because hindsight's a great gift, but just disappointed that we didn't come away with something.
So you had 2 home games over Christmas as well. Big effort in both of those against West Brom and Leeds. Encouraging performance today. You just need one more big effort at Bristol City on Saturday now.
Yeah, I was really, I mean, if you ask the lads, I don't know if they'll remember half the things I've just been chewing about, but I'm really proud of the group. The group are really good. They need some help. That is true, and they have big efforts, but in fairness, the opposition have played as many games, and that's probably why there was a lull in certain parts of the game. Both sets of players looked exhausted. The schedule's tough, but yeah, another big effort will just keep them off their feet tomorrow, but we'll just have a classroom day, so to speak, and a recovery day, and then we'll attack Bristol with the same vigour. But if we're that vulnerable at the back and that not lacklustre at the top, but lacking that clinical edge at the top, we don't want to have the same outcome. So we need to try and sharpen on both and refresh the team again, because you could see there's tired bodies for everyone out there today.
Paul Warne in the rain at Hillsborough talking to RamsTV there. Derby certainly are at the end of a real grind over Christmas and New Year. Barks, same for everyone, of course. And there's no doubt, I think that today has shown again that Derby could do with a bit of help. But today, what went wrong for them today? Is it as simple as the things in both boxes didn't fall for them?
Yeah, I think we struggled with the pace, first and foremost, of Sheffield Wednesday. Balls in behind when you've got a back three.
Saw that with the opening goal, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw it with the opening goal, and we saw it with I think it was the third as well. That little bit of pace that they had, that directness, that the willingness to put the ball into the space behind and chase after it. We got caught a couple of times. If you've got a back three and they haven't naturally got lots of pace, it's very important that you don't allow those moments to happen. Maybe you need to be a little bit deeper, but we were that adventurous maybe, especially with Wilson in your wing-back position, because you had sufficient amount of the ball that at times they were exposed and they caught out in those positions. For me, opportunities missed. You look at how many opportunities, good opportunities in the first 45 minutes and you're going behind. So that was a shame that we weren't at least level pegging. We should have been probably ahead with the chances we had. And long spells in the second half were good as well in terms of creating chances and getting back in it. But if you concede 4 goals, you're always going to struggle. You say there, we scored 2 away from home, created as many chances as we had done probably on any away trip this season. When you get 2 goals, you don't want to become away with nothing, but ultimately conceding 4, however it looks, a couple of wonderful goals, it's very difficult to get anything in the Championship if you do that.
Yeah, Wednesday scored a couple sort of out of nowhere, the fourth, and certainly the second. It's just an unbelievable hit from Josh Windass, right? It
is, and we forget he came on as a substitute at half-time, and that's the difference between the two clubs. In my opinion, that's the difference. They had 3 or 4 players that we would probably love within this squad, if not the starting 11. They had them on the bench and could afford to have them on the bench. Strength in depth, quality in depth. Players, I mentioned at the start, I thought they had match winners within their squad, not just their starting 11, but within their squad. We're often kind of trying to find something, trying to add a player to that group that can offer a little bit more. And in reality, the strength isn't there. I think everyone's performed admirably over the course of the season. I think that everyone's given it their all. I don't think you can complain about the effort and endeavour. At times, that little bit of quality has let us down. At Pride Park, I think we've seen that quality kind of come to fruition. Away from home, at times it's caught us out. So there's a big difference between the top of the league and the bottom of the league with the strength in depth. We're struggling with it, but ultimately, again, the performance, especially in possession, was there. Out of possession, they had moments and they always looked a threat, and that's why I said as soon as it got to 3-1 it could go either way. I still believe there was something and there would be chances for this team.
Jerry Yates did get a goal second half to make it 3-1, and certainly you were optimistic, and I can understand why as well. There's a chance he has right at the end of the first, or toward the end of the first half, that he probably should score, and he's not the only one that has fault, of course, but Derby have to. Surely we have to stop getting to this point where we're saying Derby don't take their chances, because they are leaving lots of points on the table now.
They are. Again, I don't think it's down to performance. I think it's down to detail.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's down to detail, whether it's the quality, whether it's taking chances, whether it's getting caught out with mistakes. Those little details go a long way. And I'm looking at Sheffield Wednesday, you know, managed to survive last year. We're starting to look towards that top 10, having ambitions of being in the top 6 based off the last 18 months. Now,
only 3 points off it now, by the way.
Exactly, and I don't think they're a million miles away from where we are as a team. Over the 2 games, I think we've been the better side, but we've conceded 6 goals in those 2 games against a side that has quality. The substitutes made a huge difference in the last game. They made a big difference in the second half this afternoon. So that's the difference. That's the depth that they have, and ultimately there were chances, there were missed opportunities. But again, you've got to pick up points. You've got to find ways, and unfortunately today, too much of the box stuff, too much of the detail was letting down at key times, and they had it. They made the most of it. We didn't, and unfortunately we suffer from a decent performance and picking nothing up.
Ebo Adams got Derby's second goal, consolation at the end, took it well. He's Derby's second highest joint goal scorer, if I can get my words right. Is that sort of Derby's problem? As much as we love Ibu, he's not expected to be a goal scorer.
No, he didn't start the season. David Ozo started the season, so we had to be patient. So he hasn't played every game. He's been outstanding since he's come back in. I think he's been brilliant. I thought he put in another good performance this afternoon. One thing he does is get forward and he gets into the box. That's sometimes enough. And the amount of crosses we had, the amount of balls into the box, it wasn't a surprise really, especially in the second half when Hartman was that little bit deeper and Tomo and Ibu were expected to get forward that little bit more. One thing I will say is both managers made big changes at half-time, and it's because both knew the game was there to be won. Both knew where the weaknesses were, and they tried to rectify that. The reality is that the players that they could bring on for Sheffield Wednesday made the bigger impact, made the key moments matter. So it's you talk about Ibo being second top goal scorer, it's a concern. And I think if Jerry Yates isn't in the side, who's then your next striker that's going to score goals? You've got Colo, who's probably not had the minutes he wanted, maybe isn't as kind of quick and as fit, not fit, that's the wrong word, maybe as young as he used to be in terms of sharpness to get a goal. You've got Brown, who's new to the game and still a young player, understanding the level. Jackson's probably not that natural centre-forward goal scorer that you're looking for. So when you're missing a player or two, who can fill in the gaps? They had 3 or 4 players that could do it. We probably haven't got that. So as frustrating as today can be and will be, and disappointing as can be, that there's signs I think there that go, well, this is what we need for the second half of the season.
Let's head back to Hillsborough. Here's Craig Forsyth.
Ultimately, it's disappointing. We can't come away from home and concede 4 goals, and especially losing a goal after 8 or 9 minutes. It puts us in a really difficult position to have to come out. But we created enough chances to be in the game and win the game, but the goals we conceded today are not good enough.
Like you mentioned, though, was it especially frustrating because of the chances we had to really impose ourselves on the game?
Yeah, I think there was a spell of maybe 5 or 6 corners in the first half where we nearly scored off every one, but it's times like that when you've got the momentum, you need to take the chances. We've spoken about it before about being more clinical, and today in both boxes we weren't clinical enough, and that's what's cost us.
What can you learn from those moments defensively?
I think it's probably managing the game slightly better as well, and when we have conceded, obviously the aim is to not concede at all, but it's then the reaction after that to then settle back down and have a bit of composure and play our way back into the game. But we've got another game coming up in a few days, so it's important that we get out our system and ready to go again.
Like you say, the relentless schedule goes on, but it's a chance to bounce back and recover, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We'll be back in tomorrow, recover and debrief the game and go over it, and probably won't be a good meeting, but it's something that we need to learn from and see our mistakes and learn from them, so it's something that needs to be done, and we'll do that.
Thanks.
That's Derby defender Craig Forsyth. Results and latest scores from the Championship then, a full slate of fixtures on this New Year's Day. Plymouth parted company with Wayne Rooney yesterday. Got a last minute equaliser to deny Bristol City victory at home park. Another win for Queen's Park Rangers against Watford, and another win for Oxford as well. 1-0 at Millwall. Gary Rowett returning to his old club. That's 3 wins out of 3 for him since becoming Oxford boss. The table then, Leeds top despite conceding a last-minute equaliser at home to Blackburn this afternoon. Burnley right with them. Sheffield United playing the late game. Sheffield Wednesday, as I mentioned, climbing to within 3 points of the top 6. As for Derby, the gap between them and the relegation zone gets that little bit smaller. They still have a better goal difference than everyone around them. Hull in action at the moment, could move out of the bottom 3 tonight. Also worth mentioning that there are teams below Derby with games in hand. Yep, there is a long way to go yet in this Championship campaign. That's all from us for now. If you want more reaction, it'll be on the website dcfc.co.uk, and we're back with you on Saturday for the trip to Bristol City as well. But for now, from me, Barks, and the team, enjoy the rest of your New Year's Day. Goodbye.